Welcome to the Line Life podcast. I'm Jeff Postlethwaite, senior editor of T&D World, and today we're bringing you more stories of the grit, courage, and inspirational teamwork that it takes to be a line worker.
Hello and welcome to the Line Life podcast. My name is Amy Fishbach and I'm the field editor for T&D World magazine. Today we're featuring guest Chad Dubea, founder of the Fallen Linemen Organization. In part one of this series, you learned about how Chad started a business from the ground up, and he also offered some tips on how other line workers could also start their own businesses in the line trade. And for part two, we're having a discussion about the Life on the Line movie starring John Travolta, the Drivin for Linemen truck race, and also the International Linemen's Museum and the Bronze Memorial to honor fallen line workers. During this episode, he talks about how he started the Fallen Linemen Organization and how he and his team are helping families of fallen and wounded line workers nationwide. Chad, welcome back, and thanks for joining us today for the Line Life podcast.
Hey, Amy.
I'd like to talk to you about the Hollywood film Life on the Line starring John Travolta. I think I first met you when you were working on that project. Can you describe what that experience was like for you to make a movie about the line trade?
It was a great experience. After doing it, I was honored and grateful to be able to do it. I know the movie didn't turn out like we would all hope. And believe it, nobody knows that more than me, being the one to finance most of it. But Hollywood did what they did, and they got it to where it's being shown on HBO and things. So I'm very proud of the work that we did to actually get the movie out. And one thing that wanted to do the movie for was to get people that didn't know our industry, to give them a little glimpse of it. So, in that aspect, it definitely does hit that mark because I get calls from time to time, just random people, hey, I see the movie on HBO or it's on FX or things. So I am proud that it is getting out there. And of course, I do wish it was a little different, but Hollywood has to do their thing. If you think about a cop movie or a doctor movie, those industries aren't completely satisfied with how their movies go. So, I do have to apologize to a bunch of the line workers out there because I do know the frustrations of it, but I am very proud that we did it. I'm glad that we're getting the information and the thought of our trade out to the industry.
What was it like working with John Travolta? I have to ask you.
Yeah, well, John was an amazing individual. I can't say enough about the goodness of that guy. During the filming, we actually had some fallen lineman wives that came up to see the filming, and he was very personal with each of them. And as I understand it, he actually wrote handwritten letters to those families, and he really genuinely cared. He was really into making sure he highlighted our movie the best way he could. I think where we did fail with it is we didn't have enough time from training to production to when it actually got out to the movies and whenever it hit the market. But things that we were focused on within that movie was, for one, getting the information out to people that didn't know about our industry. The second was actually getting the wives involved. So in the beginning of the movie, where the guy's going out for a storm, his wife tells him to be safe and stuff. So that was, as men, I think, a lot of times we don't talk about our day. If somebody asks us how our day went, we just say, oh, it was good. And we don't really get into that whole thing about how it was. And so really I wanted to show the wives the dangers of these guys when they're out in the field, because a lot of times the wives may not even understand these dangers out there. So, wanted the wives to get a glimpse of what their husbands were dealing with, and hopefully, like I was mentioned earlier, about getting their buy-in to helping us get them home. Third one was, bringing that union and non-union gap. Like in the movie, we definitely promoted the IBW in the movie, and so wanted to show where we can work together, that we are linemen, and it doesn't matter what your affiliation is. We all work in this industry together, and we all want to get home safe to our families. And it shouldn't matter what company we work for or what affiliation we are. It should be the same for all of us in that. And then the last one was just to let people know about the dangers of our industry. And, I can't remember the exact number, but that year we did the movie, we lost a lot of linemen. And this year, but think about this year, we've lost several linemen in the past 2 or 3 months. And so really getting that information out and so people could just recognize that this is a dangerous job and it can be done safe though. And it's just a matter of getting that information out.
Well, I love it. There was a movie about the line trade. I thought it was super cool. And Storm Soldiers 2 was really well done. But what was it like for John Travolta to climb a pole for the first time? Do you remember that experience? Because I remember when I climbed a pole at the Ameren, Illinois training yard, and it was so hard. I think I got up about 5 foot and then I just slid down and it was exhausting. So I want to hear what John Travolta's experience was.
Well, congratulations on that. That's very impressive that you were doing that. I admire that. Very good. See, so you're learning what the people do on the field, so you can be more understanding. That's awesome. So we actually brought John Travolta to the training facility we have in Texas and was teaching him how to climb poles and stuff. So yeah, I do remember him climbing, and it was tough. And John was real meticulous on everything. He wanted to know exactly how to do it. So we were out there at the training facility probably 2-3 days, but he actually did climb. I'd say he climbed up 4 or 5 feet, and I think he did pretty good with it.
That's awesome. I love hearing that. And then I'd love to hear a little bit more about the Fallen Linemen Organization, which you started. What was your inspiration for starting it, and how does it help line families in their time of need?
Oh, well, thank you. And so after we built T&D and we sold to private equity company, I thought of how am I going to give back to this industry that was been so good to myself and my family. And one thing was, and I looked to see if there was foundation out there to help fallen linemen, and there wasn't at the time, which was very surprising to me that we didn't have anything. With all the other foundations we have with fire and police and all these other foundations that are out there, why there was not one to help fallen or wounded linemen. And, about that time, though, I do have to say that the sisterhood started theirs. So, we all grew together from there. I think that was probably in the 2012 time frame, I believe, maybe 11, 12 time frame. So, but yeah, it kind of amazed me. If we had people get hurt, we would send out things and get crowdfunding, I guess. It was basically crowdfunding before crowdfunding was there, where we'd go to our company and get donations and things, and we'd raise money and then give it to the family. So, it's like, wow, we didn't have this within our industry. So why not create something like this for our industry? And that was kind of the inspiration behind it. And then, so we started working, and with our collaboration with NSUJL, we kind of built that up. And last year we helped several families. I think we gave out almost $100,000 to help families of fallen or wounded linemen. So far this year, I think we've helped 8 families. We're definitely out there, and the main goal behind the fallen linemen, though, is actually to reduce incidents. We hope one day to not have to help any families, with that, because our incidents are down, and we can put those funds to do more research and development on safer and more effective tools and things in our industry.
And then if a fallen lineman's family needs help, how do they get assistance? And then what kind of assistance do you provide? Is the money for just food and housing and things like that? Or what is it used for typically?
Yes, ma'am. So it could be for a wide range of things. There's an application that they would fill out. They can go on our website and get those forms and fill out, turned in. Then our board meets, and then we've given money for funerals. We give money for bills that need to be paid. And with all that is our funding is a big portion, and all of our funding comes from donations and volunteers and things like that. So since COVID, things have slowed down a little bit. There wasn't any customers functions and things that we could go out and get our name out there. But now all that's kind of picked back up, and we're getting another marketing plan and going to be out doing it again and making sure that we are out there helping all families of fallen and wounded linemen. And again, we don't separate from union or non-union. We help any and all families within our industry.
It's really cool. And then what about Drivin for Linemen and Climbin for Linemen in St. Louis? Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes, ma'am. So that was actually a collaboration I did with originally with Andy Price, who is the founder of the International Lineman Museum. So started that collaboration with him originally with sponsoring a truck, and it actually grew into us naming the naming rights of actually a race. So there was a naming right available in St. Louis, and we were able to secure the naming rights with that racetrack. And so we named it the Drivin for Linemen. It was a truck race, so it was a Drivin for Linemen 200. And, we did that for, I'd say, 4 or 5 years. And again, all that stuff doesn't pay for itself. So we went a different direction. But man, I was really enjoyed that time of doing that Drivin for Linemen. We actually one year had a truck that we did sponsor that went around the country that was dedicated to all electrical linemen. And so I really think that was a way for us to just get the line industry out to people. And with the collaboration at the time with Bob Hall, who was with Buckingham, we created this climbing for linemen. And before the race, I think it was the day before the race, we'd have competitions and guys could climb, and we gave a trip to Mexico. We gave prizes and all kind of fun things. So that was really a great experience, and loved being a part of NASCAR and learning a little bit about that as well.
Yeah, and I bet there's a lot of racing fans in the line trade too. I bet they absolutely love that.
Yes, I'm sure.
Yeah, that's so cool. And then talk about the International Linemen's Museum. Can you share with our Line Life podcast listeners the exciting news about the relocation of the museum? I just found out about this.
Yes, ma'am. So yeah, it's really nice. Again, this is with Andy Price, and we actually met him down in Leesburg on Tuesday and looked at this beautiful piece of property. It was a tractor museum, and the parents died and the kids are selling the museum. So we're in negotiations now with buying that place. And man, the vision that Andy has for that, to bring all the museum from where it is now currently in North Carolina, and to up from a small office to, I mean, this place has huge space to show everything that he has, all his trucks and tools and things like that. There's actually a building that we're going to designate for the memorial that will house the memorial and the things that we're planning on doing with memorializing our fallen linemen going forward. And this is actually a collaboration that started, I'd say, back in 2012, 13 as well, when Andy and I got together, and it made sense to bring the museum, the Hall of Fame, memorial, all that into one thing. So, but since COVID, everything kind of just went stagnant. But it's really a godsend how all this kind of came to be. And hearing from Andy's side how he found this place is really, it gives me chills, because it's amazing how it's all coming together now, and we're picking up where we left off. And I know that this place is, it's in the center of Florida, great location. I think people will definitely visit it, linemen and those who aren't in the line industry, to really show the history of this great industry. And I'm so just honored and excited to have been able to be a part of this, and really, over this year and next year, how this thing grows, this museum's going to grow and really highlight our industry. It's going to be remarkable. I really believe it in my heart.
That's really cool. And then talk about the memorial. I know you have a lighter weight travel size memorial built to honor fallen linemen. And then you have a bronze one that's going to be probably permanently housed at the museum, right? The new museum?
Yes, ma'am. So, and I'll talk a little bit about how the memorial kind of came to be. So we had started the foundation, which would help, families of fallen linemen and wounded linemen. But at the time at T&D Solutions, we actually had our one and only fatality while I was there. And it was a trailer that was on a train track. The guys didn't see the train coming, and the train hit the trailer, and the guy that was on the other side of the trailer got hit by the trailer, and as a result lost his life. And so with that was like, what are we going to do for that guy? I mean, he didn't have a wife or kids or anything. So from there was like, well, what are we going to do for this family? And so the memorializing of that came out of that unfortunate incident. And we actually did a memorial for that family on that location at the time. And his family came out, and we set a memorial up for them, and did a whole thing for them for that. But that's how the memorial kind of came to be, because, there wasn't, again, looked throughout on the internet and couldn't find a place that memorialized these fallen heroes. And so, from there, through the foundation, we set on that task of memorializing the fallen linemen. And today we have a bronze statue that currently is just housed at a training facility in that we have in Texas, but now will be housed at this beautiful location in Florida in the near future. There's still some work that we have to do on the buildings and things, which, Andy and I spoke yesterday that we'll be going out to the industry looking for sponsors to help with those renovations and things. So we're getting a plan together to hopefully get the industry involved with this great thing that we're doing with the museum and the memorial and really highlighting our industry.
Perfect. I think it's so beautiful, all the things you've done for the line trade. Is there anything else that you'd like to share with our podcast listeners or anybody special that you want to give a shout out to on the podcast?
Well, I guess for one, I'd have to give a shout out to my father for everything that he's done and his guidance. Definitely the guys that I mentioned earlier throughout my career coming up, and honored to have worked under those guys. Looking forward to working with Tim and Aaron and the new generation of linemen that are coming up. And, I guess I would like to say to just all linemen out there, though, that, don't let anybody hold you back. Be willing to do more than what you're expected to do. If you get opportunity, capture it, do the best you can do. Your name is really all you have at the end of the day. And in our industry, and all linemen will know, you hear about some that aren't worth working with, and you hear about the ones that are top notch. So I would encourage everybody to always want to be recognized and known for the good things that you've done, the hard work that you put in, the difference that you've made in the industry, and just grow your name, because in the end, our name's all we have. And I just love this industry that you're with, and it's a great industry to be a part of. And I just encourage everybody to put your heart into it. It's not just a job, it's a career. And it's, the third most important thing that we need besides food and water. Electricity is the third most necessity that we need as humans. And so be very honored and proud of what we do every day to bring everybody the electricity they demand.
Well, Chad, thank you so much for joining us today for the Line Life podcast. I loved hearing about all the work you have done for the line trade.
Well, thank you, Amy. I appreciate you also and what you guys do for the line trade as well. And thanks for giving me an opportunity to tell a little bit about what we're doing.
My pleasure. And I hope our Line Life podcast listeners will be able to see the Bronze Memorial one day at the International Linemen's Museum. And thanks again for all you've done for the families of the fallen line workers and for helping out with the line trade. We enjoyed having you as a guest.
This episode of the Line Life podcast was written, recorded, and edited by Amy Fishbach. It was produced by Jeff Postlewaite. That's me. To listen to past episodes, visit www.tdworld.com/podcasts or find us at Podbean. You could also drop us a voice memo or message at linelifepodcast@gmail.com with your comments on this episode. We'd love to hear from you. Please follow this show on Podbean or your favorite podcasting app to be updated when new episodes are released. Thank you for listening.